The Lover's Pentacle, Chapter 6, The King of Pentacles. Karina rose to the surface of the water and she coughed up a lung. She checked the time on her cell phone. It was then when she noticed two text messages from Kain. The first message had been deleted. It was followed by a second message that read, "My father was playing with my phone and pay no mind to the stupid photo he sent you. Don't worry about it," texted Karina. "I saw nothing." "Phew," texted Kain. Was it a dick picture?" texted Karina, curious. "Something like that," lied Kain. "Is it bigger than you?" texted Karina, giggling. Kain replied with a sad face. Karina was distracted from her texting when she heard a knock on the door, and she heard her mother opening the door, and she left the bath and she peeped outside. And her mother informed Karina that her boyfriend Bruno had brought roses and he was waiting in the living room for her to get dressed. He was going to take her to eat at his favorite restaurant. She, taken aback by the romantic gesture, left the bath, and after browsing through her evening red dresses, she chose for herself a crimson needless satin cocktail dress with a pleated lace and in the skirt, and she dried her hair as quickly as she could. And she curled it up a bit with gel, and once she felt herself presentable, she left the bedroom. Bruno was still sporting the same blue tuxedo, and Karina thought that he looked very handsome and sophisticated. Bruno opened the car door for Karina, and her red dress was the same color as Bruno's Porsche Carrera convertible. The two drove away with the top off, and this allowed for the one summer breeze to finish drying Karina's hair. "Where are we going?" asked Karina. "It is going to be a surprise," said Bruno, giving a sly smile. "I don't like surprises," said Karina, shifting in her seat, acting all bashful. "Neither do I," said Bruno dryly. Instead of driving Karina to a fancy restaurant, he led her to the North Pole restaurant in Hialeah. Karina saw the establishment and she saw that she was overdressed, and she was even half afraid of being mugged there. And since she was starving, she decided to see where everything was going, and she figured that Bruno was probably angry at her for showing up at his job uninvited. Bruno went to the counter and he checked his reservation. Bruno pulled a chair for Karina, and he took a paper napkin from the dispenser and he draped it over his date's lap. Bruno looked at the menu and he pretended to carefully consider his options. When the waiter came, Bruno ordered, "We will have 2 strawberry milkshakes and a crema de queso with bacon for appetizer." "Wow, big spender," said Karina sarcastically. "I'm going to make you eat those words," retorted Bruno, "and 2 personal cheese pizzas." "I take it that you're still angry at me," said Karina with a hostile tone in her voice. "If I was angry at you, why would I be feeding you?" asked Bruno. "Look, mister, I know your game. You got me all dressed up, and instead of taking me to a nice place, you took me to the cheapest restaurant you could find," protested Karina. "I didn't tell you to get dressed up," said Bruno, sipping his milkshake. "You did that all on your own. If I was taking you somewhere nice, I would have bothered to change out of this sweaty tuxedo." "Yeah, I did notice the smell," said Karina, and she finally took a sip of the milkshake before exclaiming, "Wow, this is a really good milkshake." "Nothing but the best for my little lady," said Bruno, giving a fake smile. The appetizer arrived, and Bruno leaned forward and he proceeded to chow down on his meal, and Karina was amazed at how quickly he ate. And smiling candidly, Karina said, "The cream is not going to escape your plate." "I don't like to eat cold food," retorted Bruno. And Karina tried the appetizer, and she had to admit that it was delicious, and when she added the cookies to it, it became even better. The two chit-chatted about food in the restaurant, and when the pizza arrived, the conversation died immediately. Both were ravenous, and it was such a delicious pizza. "Rodrigo warned me about Kain," said Bruno at a certain point. "I do not know why he made such a big deal about you having a guy for a best friend." "We date sometimes," said Karina, nibbling on her pizza. "And people say that you should marry your once best friend, but me and Kain function better as friends." "Did he cheat on you?" asked Bruno. "No," said Karina, "but he is disinterested. The element called passion is completely absent from our relationship, and in all the time we have been together, he has never sent me flowers." Bruno gave a sly smile before saying, "She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless skies and starry skies." Karina giggled and blushed when she heard the recitation, and this was the first time Karina had been ever recited romantic poetry. If it wasn't for the setting, she would have considered this a perfect dinner date. The dessert came, and the tuchiera copalolita, and it consisted of 2 scoops of ice cream and a flan in the center, and plenty of toppings. Karina's ice cream bowl was made of dulce de leche, and it was decorated with sprinkles and crushed cookies. And Bruno's strawberry bowl was decorated with gummy bears and a little piece of cheesecake. The flan in the middle harmonized all opposing elements. Karina leaned back on her chair, feeling overstuffed, and so full. When the bill came, she reached for it. For a cheesesteak, you have a way with words, said Karina, dishing out her credit card. And it is only $50. I can spare $50. Thank you. I will pay for the meal next time, said Bruno, laughing. Bruno walked Karina to her car, and he opened the door for her, and Karina sighed and said, I really need to get back to regularly working out. Do you have a home gym? I have a few weights and a treadmill, and it gets the job done, said Bruno before turning the car on and driving away. My condo has something that it calls a gym. I wouldn't recommend it. I used to work at a university, but now that I'm no longer a student, I lost access to the gymnasium, and I was thinking of getting a gym membership, said Karina. I wouldn't recommend it, said Bruno. If you want a place to work out, I know a good spot, and it won't cost you a dime, and I can even get you a personal trainer if you so desire it. All right, Mr. Cheesesteak, if you're not too busy with work tomorrow, you can hook me up with your personal trainer. The thing is that I'm going to be busy tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after, said Bruno. If you don't believe me, you are welcome to visit my office to watch me work overtime. All right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt this time, said Karina, shrinking into her seat. Bruno drove back to Kendall and delivered Karina to her mother. Karina lingered by the door, and she was feeling itchy, and she wanted Bruno to split her in half, and Bruno limited himself to embracing Karina while delivering a passionate kiss. The man left her thirsty and wanting for more. Karina, extremely frustrated, went to the room to daydream a little, and she looked at the mystery bag with a spell to bind herself to Kain, and it was right on her nightstand to keep her from forgetting, and she thought of her most recent nightmare, and she pondered why she had dreamt of Bruno drowning, and she thought that the person in her dream was Bruno because he had green eyes. Maybe my contact with a real psychic has awoken my latent magical ability, said Karina, sitting up. That is the stupidest thing I have ever heard, said the plushy Nana. There's no such thing as magic, and the world has never been that interesting. Yeah, you're right, Nana, said Karina, turning to stare at her dollhouse. If you don't believe that magic is real, why did you buy that spell from the sketchy witch? Asked Nana. She seemed sharper than the average psychic, said Karina. It was almost as if she could read my mind. You're a normal girl who wears her heart on her sleeve, said Nana. It is child's play for Irina to guess your backstory. The door to Karina's room opened slightly and then it closed again. Unla was worried because Karina was talking to her bunny plushie again. Karina tended to do that when she felt lonely. Karina started talking to Nana after her father died, and she would talk to the bunny, and then she would speak in a different voice, and for a while Unla feared that Karina had a dissociative personality. Unla realized that this wasn't the case when Karina returned to school. Karina only spoke to the bunny when there was literally nobody else to talk to. Karina looked at her cell phone and she checked the time, and she left the bed and she got changed into her pajamas, and she had gotten all those off for nothing. You don't need to talk to your plushie when I'm at home, Karina, said Unla, entering the room. I'm sorry, Mom, force of habit, said Karina, giggling. Do you want to watch a clone with me? Asked Unla, entering the room. I already missed a lot of episodes, said Karina, sitting up. I can fill you in on the details, said Unla, smiling benevolently. Unla was almost 50, and she had married her childhood sweetheart. After much trial and error, she had managed to give birth to their only daughter, Karina. Unla was of a darker copper tone, with brown eyes and medium build, and she had the face filled with lifelines and eyes marred by deep suffering. Aside from being devoted to her daughter, she religiously took care of her dyed blonde hair. The two watched the telenovela, and in between commercials, Unla interrogated her daughter about her date. He probably has a lot of student loans, said Unla. Becoming a lawyer isn't cheap. Other than being Rodrigo's friend, what else do you know of Bruno? Asked Karina. Bruno is from Kansas, like Dorothy, and he came to Miami to play college football for the University of Miami. And he became friends with Rodrigo, and both played on the same team, and they were roommates for a spell, and he a Porsche, he plays chess, he's employed, and he's well-mannered. Why don't you like him? I don't know, Mom. He seems too good to be true, said Karina, blushing. Can you believe that he's recited me poetry? What type of guy recites poetry this day and age? There are still good men out there, Karina, said Unla. I was married to one, and if Bruno went as far as to recite you poetry and to buy you flowers, I mean, he likes you. If he likes me, why didn't he sleep with me, said Karina, shifting on her seat. It is only your first date, said Unla, and I didn't sleep with your father till we got married. That was a different time, Mom, said Karina. And these days, it's normal for men to sleep with you on your first date. And look at how well that has gone for you, Karina, said Una tentatively. I know that you are nervous, and this time you are dating an adult and not an immature man-child, and Bruno respects you enough not to try to worm himself into your bedroom. He's a little on the poor side, but nothing that a few years of back-breaking labor won't fix. Sheesh, Mom, if you like Bruno so much, you should be the one to date him, said Karina, laughing. Give him an honest try, and while you date him, you're not allowed to see Kain, said Ulla. But Kain is my friend, Mom, and he got run over by a car, protested Karina. Fine, you can see your friend, said Ulla, but you have to tell him that you're seeing another. Fine, Mom, sheesh, said Karina dryly. Karina tested her lover, Kain. I found myself a new boyfriend. I am happy for you, tested Kain, and he added, I made a new friend. I think you already know her. It better not be Eugenia, tested Karina. It is Eugenia, isn't it? You guessed it, tested Kain. I was helping her look to her family finances. It turns out that her father has an illegitimate child. I'm not going to bore you with the details. The overall point is that this information helped her regain control over her inheritance. Good for her, tested Karina after writing and rewriting her messages. Unla saw on her daughter's face that jealous pout that Karina had whenever Unla kissed her husband, and she didn't know where to spy on the conversation her daughter was having with her boyfriend. The two of you should go on a double date, suggested Unla. Mom, I don't want to meet Kain's new girlfriend, protested Karina. You can't keep Kain locked down while you go smoosh someone else, protested Unla. It isn't right. It is one man or the other, not both. So decide already. I know, Mom, but I can't help feeling jealous. I know it's stupid and irrational feeling, but it is an aspect of myself that I had difficulty controlling, said Karina sadly. Today, I showed up to Bruno's work uninvited, and I made a scene all because I didn't believe him when he told me that he was working. I think the root cause of your jealousy problem is separation anxiety, said Ulla, trying to diagnose her daughter, as doctors often do with their offspring. You feel that Kain will stop being your friend if he finds himself another. Friendship between man and woman are complicated by the expectation that they must grow into something else. What you have is a beautiful friendship. Treasure it for what it is and stop trying to make it something else. You're right, Mom, said Karina, agreeing with her mother. The thing I had with Kain is nothing more than a faraway dream, and he changed and I changed too, but our friendship somehow survived our metamorphosis into insufferable adults. That is something to be thankful for. That's a good girl, said Unla, hugging her daughter before kissing her on the forehead. Next time you are feeling jealous, call me and we will talk through your emotions. Karina went to bed after having a good heart-to-heart conversation with her mother, and she saw the mystery bag with the spell inside of it. She threw the bag in the garbage can, and she resolved to deal with her issues like a normal person. Come morning, she sprang out of bed with the intention of using the spell on Bruno instead. When she shed the garbage can, she frowned when she noticed that her mother was taking out the trash. Karina ran out of the house in her pajamas to make it to the curbside before the garbage truck stopped at their house. And after dumpster diving, she fetched the mystery bag that was now coated in leftover and other nasty stuff. And she cleaned the exterior of the bag as best she could, and much to her dismay, the mystery bag came apart. The bag wasn't supposed to be opened. It was supposed to be thrown into the river on the new moon, completely closed. And with the spell broken, all that was left to do was to look inside the paper bag. And there was a sheet of paper inside of it, and the paper read, "A spell to bind the destiny of Karina and Bruno." Alright, that's the end of that chapter. Bye-bye and God bless.